We're back over at our Comm Ave project. We are in a 100-year-old plus brownstone here on Comm Ave. This is a 2-level condo that we have been doing a full renovation on. We have spent the better part of many months getting the framing ready, but we're at a great phase. This is a huge tipping point for this job because I see insulation everywhere. This is going to be a very modern home, so there was a lot of prep in the framing stage. One of the first things you guys did was get the roof done. It's an old building. We know a lot of this stuff is undersized. Walk me through why you guys made the choice to go with the insulation up there.
So in this brownstone we have here, it's actually, the superstructure is steel framed. So we have steel girders that run from party wall to party wall. I believe they're about 20 feet is what the spacing is. They do vary, but between that, our substructure is 2x8 framing for the ceiling joist.
So that's really small. I mean, that's giving us 7 1/4 cavity to add insulation. Our preference would be to install a batt insulation with a vapor retarder, but we couldn't in this case because of that cavity. We weren't going to achieve the R value we needed. So what did you guys end up using?
So we went with a full 7 inches of closed cell spray foam in the ceiling and the wood framed roof, which is a mansard roof at the front and rear of the house. This 7 inches of spray foam allows us for about 49 to 50 R value.
So you said only the wood framing of the roof and the mansard. That means we're avoiding putting spray foam on the backside of our brick wall because we're looking at a triple width brick.
Yep.
And we didn't want to spray foam on the backside of the brick because it's a mass wall constructed building. We didn't want to trap moisture and have the brick deteriorate over time. So you guys ended up using a batt insulation. What did you guys use?
So we elected to go with rock wall at all the party walls, interior walls, and interior ceilings.
So let's talk about front and back first. Front and back is strictly for thermal.
Correct.
But I'm looking at the left and right where, these are party walls, meaning that there's another unit on the other side, but you still have the vapor retarder up there, which is the Myrex. Why are you using the vapor barrier there?
These units are all obviously separated by a party wall. But further than that, they're actually all tied together with mechanicals and other penetrations from unit to unit. So we wanted to seal off and lock out any air, anything that would come in behind our installation so that we would make this unit as tight as possible.
So that's why all the brick walls have that vapor retarder on it. As far as air sealing, we're standing on the subfloor right here, and this is one of our air sealing details, and this is like a siliconized caulk or something like that?
Yep. It's actually a polyurethane caulk. It is flexible and waterproof, which were 2 of our big concerns here. Obviously, flexibility so that when things do move, we don't lose that seal between here. The moisture just for anything that may happen.
And one thing to remind you guys, we're above another unit. So what we're trying to do is separate the air infiltration back and forth between another unit, not the ground or any exterior space. This was one of our first details because I think you guys pulled up some of the subfloor and realized how very connected we were.
Yeah.
And there was really nothing preventing the air from escaping in and out. And if we were going to make this place airtight, we needed to start with the floor.
Absolutely.
So at that point, Nate from Zone 6 showed up and you guys spent a day old school air sealing. Walk us through some of the details you guys worked on.
So what Nate did first is we actually set up a blower door test on the roof deck here, and we depressurized the house. So essentially what that means is we were pulling all the air through the unit.
What's the purpose of that?
So what that allowed us to do would be to go around and feel where there was air coming in, especially this time of year when it was cold out. You could really feel it, if you just wave your hand over a wall, you could feel that cold air coming in, let us know that there was an air leak there. And if you could see it with the naked eye, then hit it with some foam or hit it with some caulk. Otherwise, if you couldn't see it, that's what aero barrier is going to be doing for us.
That was the goal, not just for the old school air sealing, but essentially we wanted to install aero barrier here to get this place down as tight as possible. What was our baseline?
So our baseline, we tested out at about 14.5 ACH 50.
That's a leaky building.
Yeah, it is.
So if you collected all the leaks in this place,
yep.
I think he figured out the formula how big that hole would have to be.
Yeah, I believe it's 470 square inches is
That's
what
a big
that
hole.
hole was, yeah.
Did you guys do a second reading after you did the old school air sealing?
We came in at 7.5 ACH 50.
That's great. I mean, for a day's worth of work and doing it, you're talking about waving your hand across a brick wall, and that you've got that down significantly, but we wanted to get it tighter.
We did.
Now, typically, oftentimes when you install aero barrier, you're doing it after the drywall stage, and because you're using that JIP product as kind of the start of your air seal. In this case, we wanted to see if we could make this place tight before drywall. In our case, blue board and plaster. So when that layer went on, it was just adding to the air tightness. Spoiler alert, we actually did an aero barrier. What happened preventing us from doing that?
So obviously, like we said, we have neighbors below and both adjacent. So To take precautions ahead of time, we actually pressurized the unit and we used a theatrical fog machine, I guess you could say.
It's producing a fog that you would see on like a stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's non-toxic. So what we did is we talked to all the neighbors adjacent below, and we let them know that if you see anything that, you know, is out of the norm, give me a call, let us know. The neighbor to the left called right away and went down, and we actually found that there was fog coming from the second floor.
And we're on the 4th floor, so this wasn't a direct shot across. This is finding its way through probably small pinholes and getting out 2 levels lower than we are right now.
Absolutely.
So that was a halt. We stopped operation. It was, you know, strictly fog because we were kind of mimicking what aerobarrier would do. Now, we got a couple questions saying, well, would an aerobarrier fill that? Absolutely. It would probably fill it very quickly and we wouldn't have any further issue. However, we didn't want to take the risk because if we did pressurize, because we weren't actually full pressure either, we were only about half of what we would have been with 50 pascals versus 100 pascals with aerobarrier. Yes, it may have been fine, but we didn't want to take the risk of getting aerobarrier into finished spaces, especially places that are outside of our control.
Right.
So we chose to kind of cease operation. We talked with Nate. We've gotten halfway there, but we're going to reassess when we plaster and get blue board. Now, one of the reasons that we were trying to prevent it is because of the additional site protection. We're gonna have to do a lot of site protection to make sure we're squeaky clean, because this stuff does get on the floor, but I think we have a really good shot of getting down to 1 ACH here.
Hopefully shooting below 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next step here?
So typically the next step here after installation would be blue board, but in this case, we're actually gonna be doing floors next. So we got a 1/4 inch of soundproofing going in the entire unit, just to break up that noise from unit to unit. Then we have our hydronic floors going through the entire unit, which will be used as their primary source of heat, followed by our 8-inch wide white oak flooring.
That's interesting because he's absolutely right. We never install floors before blue board and plaster. There's a lot of reasons as to why, but we have a very special reason as to why we are doing it this time. But you have to stay tuned for a future episode on that. As always, we appreciate you following along. You can find more behind the scenes on Instagram at nsbuilders
or at theothernick.nsb.
Great name. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We drop a new episode weekly. Thank you guys, we appreciate it.